My name is Alexis Carter, and I am 28 years old. The day my family told me I was unfit to handle money, we were sitting in my mother's living room, discussing my late uncle's estate. The uncle who had raised me. Who had believed in me. Who had seen something in me that my own mother never did. My mother sat in her usual chair. The throne, my uncle used to call it. Where she held court. Made pronouncements. Controlled conversations. My older brother Daniel sat beside her. Perfect posture. Perfect suit. Perfect life. At least on the surface. My younger sister Rebecca sat across from me. Scrolling through her phone. Barely paying attention. She was 24. Still living at home. Still being supported by mom. Still acting like responsibility was something that happened to other people. Mom had called this meeting. Said it was important. That we needed to discuss Uncle Richard's estate. That there were decisions to make. Plans to finalize. Uncle Richard had died 3 weeks earlier. Heart attack. Suddenly. Shocking. He was only 58. Healthy. Active. No warning signs. Just gone. I was devastated. He had been more than an uncle. He had been a father figure. A mentor. A friend. The only person in my family who truly saw me. Who believed I was capable. Who pushed me to be better. Mom cleared her throat. I began speaking. As you all know, Richard left behind a substantial estate. His house. His investments. His business interests. It all needs to be managed. Distributed according to his wishes. What were his wishes? Daniel asked. That is what we need to discuss. His will was filed with his attorney. We have an appointment with the bank next week to go over everything. But before that, I think we should agree on how things should be handled. Should they be handled or how will they be handled? I asked quietly. Mom looked at me. That tone. The one that said I was being difficult. Obviously, how they will be handled. Richard would want us to work together. To make smart decisions. Did he say that? He did not have to. I knew my brother. He would want the family to benefit. To use his assets wisely. So you are deciding for him. Alexis, do not start. We are trying to have a productive conversation. I leaned back. Said nothing. Just watched. Mom continued. Daniel will oversee the business interests. He has experience in finance. He knows how to manage assets. Rebecca will inherit the house. She can live there or sell it. Whatever makes sense. And Alexis, you will receive a small trust. Enough to be comfortable. But managed by Daniel to ensure you do not squander it. The words hit like a slap. Managed by Daniel. To ensure I do not squander it. Why would I squander it? Because you have never been good with money. You live paycheck to paycheck. You make impulsive decisions. You need guidance. I am 28. I support myself. I pay my bills. I manage fine. You work as a librarian. Making what, 35,000 a year? Living in that tiny apartment? Driving a 10-year-old car? That is not managing fine. That is barely surviving. I am living within my means. You are living in poverty by choice. You could have gone to law school. Or business school. Made something of yourself. But you chose books. Literature. A career with no future. A career I love. Love does not pay bills. Mom's voice was firm. Final. That is why Daniel will manage your trust. To make sure you have security. Even if you refuse to create it yourself. What if Uncle Richard wanted me to manage it myself? He would not. Richard was many things, but he was not foolish. He would never leave significant assets to someone who cannot handle them. You do not know what he wanted. I know he would want the family to be smart. Practical. That means letting the capable people make decisions. Daniel spoke up. Look, Alexis, this is not personal. Mom is just trying to protect you. We all are. You are not good with money. Everyone knows that. Everyone assumes that. Because it is true. You have no savings. No investments. No plan for retirement. If Uncle Richard left you money without oversight, you would spend it in a year. On books. Travel. Impulsive purchases. We are trying to help you. I do not need your help. You do. You just do not see it. Rebecca looked up from her phone. You have always been like this. Stubborn. Refusing to admit when you need support. I have been supporting myself since I was 22. I have never asked you for anything. That is because you are too proud. Mom leaned forward. Alexis, I love you. But you are not capable of managing wealth. You never have been. That is not an insult. It is just reality. Your reality. Not mine. The room went quiet. Tense. I had pushed back. Challenged Mom's narrative. That was not allowed. Mom stood. We will discuss this more after we meet with the bank. But I want to be clear. Richard's estate will be managed by people who know what they are doing. That means Daniel. Not you. We will see what Uncle Richard wanted. She looked at me. That warning look. The one that said I was stepping out of line. We already know what he wanted. He told me years ago. Family first. Smart decisions. Responsible management. That is what we will do. She left the room. Daniel followed. Rebecca went back to her phone. I sat alone. Thinking about Uncle Richard. About the conversations we had. About what he actually wanted. And it was not what Mom was describing. People think family means unconditional support. It does not. Family means expectations. Judgments. Preconceived notions about who you are and what you are capable of. My mother had decided when I was young that I was the impractical one. The dreamer. The child who would never amount to much. She pushed Daniel toward business. Law. Success. She babied Rebecca. Spoiled her. Gave her everything without requiring anything in return. And me? She was dismissed. Tolerated. Waited for me to fail so she could say I told you so. Uncle Richard was different. He saw me. Really saw me. Not who Mom said I was. Who I actually was. When I was 16, he took me to his office. He ran a commercial property management company. Not glamorous. But successful. Profitable. He had built it from nothing over 30 years. He showed me around. Explained how the business worked. How he managed properties. Tenants. Finances. Then he said something I never forgot. Your mother thinks you are impractical. But I see something different. I see someone who understands value beyond money. Who thinks long term. Who does not need to show off to feel successful. That is rare. That is valuable. I did not know what to say. Just listened. He continued. When you are ready, when you want to learn, I will teach you. How to manage money. How to invest. How to build something that lasts. Not for show. For security. For freedom. I took him up on it. Over the next 12 years, I spent time with Uncle Richard. Learning. He taught me about real estate. About investments. About financial planning. About building wealth quietly. Without flash. Without needing approval. He also did something else. Something I did not know about until much later. He helped me start investing. Small amounts. $20 here. $50 there. Money from part-time jobs. Birthday gifts. He matched whatever I put in. Taught me about index funds. About compound interest. About patience. By the time I was 28, that small account had grown. Not huge. But substantial. Approximately $80,000. Money I had built slowly. Carefully. Without anyone knowing. Uncle Richard also taught me about his business. How he managed properties. How he evaluated deals. How he built relationships with tenants. He made me his unofficial assistant. Paid me fairly. Gave me real responsibility. When I finished college, I got my librarian job. Not because it paid well. Because I loved it. But I also kept working for Uncle Richard. Evenings. Weekends. Learning the business. Building skills. Preparing for something he hinted at but never made explicit. Someday, this will be yours. If you want it. If you are ready. But you have to prove you can handle it. Not to me. To yourself. I spent years proving it. Managing small properties. Handling tenant issues. Balancing books. Making smart decisions. Uncle Richard watched. Guided. Believed in me when no one else did. My mother never knew. She thought I was just spending time with my uncle. Being nice. She had no idea I was learning, growing, building something. And now he is gone. And she was trying to take what he had built, what he had meant for me, because she could not imagine I was capable. But Uncle Richard knew better. And he had prepared for this exact scenario. The bank meeting was scheduled for the following Tuesday. First National Bank. Downtown. The same bank where Uncle Richard had done business for 30 years. We arrived separately. Mom and Daniel together. Rebecca drove herself. I took the bus. Saved money. Did not need to prove anything with a fancy car. The bank manager, Mr. James Patterson, greeted us in the lobby. Led us to a private conference room. Large table. Leather chairs. Windows overlooking the city. Thank you all for coming. I know this is a difficult time. Richard was a valued client. A good man. We are all saddened by his loss. We nodded. Murmured agreement. Mr. Patterson opened a folder. We are here to review Richard's estate, his will, his instructions for distribution, and to introduce his primary executor. Primary executor? Mom looked surprised. I thought I was the executor. I am his sister. Richard named someone else. Someone he trusted to manage his affairs according to his exact wishes. Who? Mr. Patterson looked at me. Smiled slightly. Alexis Carter. The room went silent. My mother stared. Daniel's mouth opened. Rebecca looked up from her phone. That is impossible. Mom's voice was shaking. Richard would never name Alexis. She is not capable of managing an estate. Richard believed otherwise. He named her as primary executor over a year ago. Updated his will to reflect that decision. Everything is properly documented. Notarized. Filed. There must be a mistake. There is no mistake. Mr. Patterson pulled out documents. Turned them toward Mom. Here is the will. Richard's signature. 2 witnesses. Everything legal and binding. Mom grabbed the papers. Read them. Her hands were shaking. This does not make sense. Why would he choose her? Because I asked him to. I spoke for the first time. My voice was calm. Steady. I asked Uncle Richard to make me an executor. And he agreed. You asked? Daniel sounded angry. You manipulated him. I did not manipulate anyone. I asked. Explained why I thought I could handle it. He evaluated. Decided. Made his choice. But you are not qualified. You have no experience managing estates. I have 12 years of experience managing properties. Working with Uncle Richard. Learning his business. Understanding his wishes. He knew that. You did not. Mom set down the papers. Looked at Mr. Patterson. Can we contest this? You can try. But Richard was of sound mind when he executed this will. He updated it multiple times over the past year. Always with the same designation. Alexis as primary executor. His intentions are clear. What about the distribution? The house? The business? The assets? Mr. Patterson pulled out more documents. According to Richard's will, his assets are distributed as follows. The house goes to Alexis. The business goes to Alexis. The investment portfolio, minus specific bequests to family members, goes to Alexis. My mother stood up. Her chair scraped loudly. That is not possible. He would not cut us out. He did not cut you out. You each receive specific bequests. Margaret, you receive $25,000. Daniel, you receive $15,000. Rebecca, you receive $10,000. These are outright gifts. No strings attached. $50,000 total. We get $50,000 and she gets everything else. That is correct. This is fraud. Mom's voice was rising. Alexis manipulated him. Convinced him to change his will. We will fight this. Mr. Patterson's voice was firm. Richard updated his will of his own volition. Multiple times. With different attorneys. All reaching the same conclusion. This is what he wanted. If you contest, you will lose. And likely receive nothing. Nothing. Contesting a will risks your bequests. If a court determines you are acting in bad faith, your gifts can be revoked. I strongly advise against it. The room was silent. My mother sat back down. Processing. Calculating. realizing she had lost. After the meeting, my family cornered me in the parking lot. Mom, Daniel, and Rebecca. All furious. All demanding answers. How did you do this? Daniel grabbed my arm. How did you convince Uncle Richard to give you everything? I did not convince him. I worked with him. I learned from him. Proved I could handle responsibility. By manipulating him. By turning him against his own family. By being there. By showing up. By caring about more than just his money. Mom stepped closer. You betrayed us. Went behind our backs. Stole what should have been ours. I stole nothing. Uncle Richard made his choices. Legal choices. Based on years of working with me. Trusting me. Believing in me. He was confused. Sick. You took advantage. He was healthy when he wrote the will. Updated it multiple times. Was examined by doctors. Found competent. This is not about his mental state. This is about you refusing to accept his decision. Rebecca spoke. Her voice was bitter. You always acted like you were above money. Like you did not care about wealth. But you were planning this the whole time. I was not planning anything. I was learning. Working. Building a relationship with Uncle Richard based on mutual respect. Not manipulation. Not greed. Respect. You do not respect us. Mom's voice was cold. You turned Richard against us. Made him think we were only after his money. Were you not? Every conversation you had with him in his final years was about his assets. His will. What we would inherit. You never asked how he was. What he needed. You just wanted to know what you would get. That is not true. It is completely true. I was there. I saw it. Every visit. Every phone call. You only cared about what he could give you. I cared about who he was. Daniel shook his head. This is unbelievable. You are. Not even grateful. You act like you deserve this. I do deserve it. Not because I am special. Because I worked for it. Earned it. Proved myself over 12 years. That is more than any of you did. Mom pointed at me. Her hand was shaking. If you keep this money, you lose us. Your family. Forever. I looked at her. At the woman who had never believed in me. Who had dismissed me my entire life. Who was now threatening me because I finally had something she wanted. Then I guess I lost you. I walked away. Got on the bus. Rode home to my tiny apartment. Sat on my second-hand couch. And cried. Not because I lost my family. Because I never really had them to begin with. Over the next 3 months, I worked with Mr. Patterson and Uncle Richard's attorney to settle the estate. It was complicated. Properties. Investments. Business interests. Legal requirements. Tax implications. But I had been trained for this. Uncle Richard had prepared me. Taught me. Given me the tools I needed. The house was beautiful. 3 bedrooms. 2 acres. Garden. Workshop. Uncle Richard had built it himself over the years. It needed work. Updates. But it was solid. Valuable. Worth approximately $400,000. The business was thriving. 12 properties under management. Steady income. Good tenants. Profitable. Worth approximately $600,000 in annual revenue. I could run it. Continue what Uncle Richard built. Or sell it. Either way, it had value. The investment portfolio was substantial. Stocks. Bonds. Index funds. Diversified. Smart. Worth approximately $800,000. Total estate value, approximately $1.8 million. More than I had imagined. More than my family had known about. Uncle Richard had been quietly wealthy. Not flashy. Not obvious. Just secure. Free. Living life on his own terms. And now it was mine. To manage. To grow. To honor his memory. My family tried to contact me. Multiple times. Calls. Texts. Emails. Demanding I reconsider. Share the estate. Be reasonable. I did not respond. Just worked with the attorneys. Filed the paperwork. Transferred assets. Made it official. My mother hired a lawyer. Threatened to contest. The lawyer reviewed the case. Advised her not to proceed. Said she would lose. Would waste money. Would accomplish nothing except exposing her greed. She dropped it. Reluctantly. Bitterly. But she dropped it. 6 months after Uncle Richard's death, the estate was settled. Everything transferred to my name. Legal. Final. Mine. I quit my job at the library. Not because I did not love it. Because I had other work to do. Uncle Richard's business needed attention. Full-time attention. I could not do both. I hired a manager for day-to-day operations. Someone Uncle Richard had recommended years ago. Someone competent. Trustworthy. Experienced. I kept the house. Moved in. Started renovating. Slowly. Room by room. Making it mine while honoring Uncle Richard's vision. I kept the investment portfolio. Let it grow. Did not touch it except for rebalancing. Building long-term wealth. Security. Freedom. And I started something new. A scholarship fund. For young people interested in property management. Business. Financial literacy. The things Uncle Richard had taught me. The things I wanted to pass on. Named it the Richard Carter Memorial Scholarship. $5,000 annually. For students who showed potential. Who needed an opportunity. Who wanted to learn. The first recipient was a 19-year-old woman from a low-income family. She reminded me of myself at that age. Hungry to learn. Willing to work. I just needed someone to believe in her. I believed in her. The way Uncle Richard believed in me. 1 year after Uncle Richard's death, I had built something. Not just wealth. A life. A purpose. A way to honor the man who had seen me when no one else did. My family did not contact me anymore. Gave up. Moved on. Probably still bitter. Still convinced I had stolen from them. But I had not stolen anything. I had earned it. Through years of work. Learning. Proving myself. Building trust. That was the difference. They wanted inheritance as a gift. As something owed to them by blood. I received it as a reward. For effort. For dedication. For being the person Uncle Richard knew I could be. 2 years after Uncle Richard's death, I got an unexpected call. From Daniel. He sounded tired. Defeated. Asked if we could meet. I agreed. Curious. Cautious. We met at a coffee shop. Neutral ground. He looked older. Stressed. The perfect life was showing cracks. Thank you for meeting me. I know I do not deserve it. What do you want, Daniel? He stirred his coffee. Took a breath. I wanted to apologize. For how we treated you. For assuming you were incapable. For trying to take what Uncle Richard left you. Apologies do not change what happened. I know. But I need to say it anyway. We were wrong. About you. About everything. Yes. You were. He looked at me. Really looked. For the first time maybe ever. How did you do it? Build all this? Without anyone knowing. I worked. Learned. Saved. Invested. Uncle Richard taught me. Guided me. Believed in me. That made all the difference. Mom still thinks. You manipulated him. Mom will always think that. Because admitting I was capable means admitting she was wrong about me for 28 years. That is too hard for her. Do you ever think about reconciling? With the family? Sometimes. But then I remember how you treated me. How you dismissed me. How you tried to take what Uncle Richard wanted me to have. And I realize. I do not need people in my life who only value me when I have something they want. That is fair. Daniel finished his coffee. Stood to leave. Paused. For what it is worth. I am proud of you. What you have built. What you are doing. Uncle Richard would be proud too. I know he would. He left. I sat alone. Thinking about my journey. From the dismissed daughter. The incapable one. The dreamer who would never amount to anything. To this. Business owner. Property manager. Scholarship founder. Success on my own terms. My family said I was unfit to handle money. That I needed oversight. Management. Protection from my own poor decisions. But Uncle Richard knew better. He saw potential. Capability. Strength. And he gave me the chance to prove it. Not just to him. To myself. They doubted me loudly. Mom said I could never manage wealth. I let her believe it. Kept working. Keep learning. Keep building. Then the bank announced my name as primary executor. And everything they assumed about me shattered. Their hands shook. Not from fear. From the realization that they had been wrong. That the person they dismissed was the one Uncle Richard trusted most. That was not revenge. That was justice. The natural consequence of judging someone without knowing them. Of assuming incompetence based on appearances. I was never unfit to handle money. I was just uninterested in handling it their way. With flash. With show. With the need to prove something to people who did not matter. Uncle Richard understood that. Valued that. Rewarded that. And now I live the life he wanted for me. Not wealthy by their standards. Just secure. Free. Building something that matters. That is the real inheritance. Not money. The knowledge that someone believed in me. Saw me. Trust me. And I proved them right.